Ladies and gentlemen, there is a secret power within you, a force so mighty that it shapes the very fabric of your reality. The world you see, the experiences you have, and the life you live are not dictated by chance. They are molded by the thoughts you hold and the beliefs you accept as true. If you wish to change your life, you must first change your focus. What you give attention to grows, and what you assume to be real will manifest before your very eyes. If you look outward for validation, you will forever be at the mercy of circumstances. But if you turn inward and nurture the vision of your higher self, the world must conform to that image. Dare to see yourself already living your dream. Feel the joy, the success, the peace as if it is happening now. Do not wait for evidence. Create the evidence within. The moment you align your consciousness with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the world will begin to rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. But the journey requires persistence. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when the world tries to convince you otherwise. Do not waver. The only reality that matters is the one you hold in your mind. Ignore the distractions, silence the doubters, and remain steadfast in your assumption of success. You are the creator of your destiny, the architect of your dreams. The only limit is the one you accept. Focus on yourself, nurture your vision, and know that what you desire is already yours the moment you claim it. Your imagination is the architect of your reality. It is not just a fleeting daydream or a momentary escape from the present. It is the very foundation upon which your world is built. Everything you experience, every event that unfolds, every opportunity that presents itself is a reflection of the images you hold in your mind. Whether you realize it or not, your imagination is constantly shaping your life, molding the circumstances you encounter, and determining the direction of your journey. Consider for a moment that everything around you, every invention, every building, every work of art once existed solely in the mind of someone who dared to imagine it. The great cities, the towering skyscrapers, the technological marvels of our time, none of these things existed until they were first conceived in the realm of imagination. The same principle applies to your own life. The experiences you desire, the success you seek, the happiness you long for, all of it must first be created within before it can manifest without. Most people believe that their circumstances dictate their thoughts, that they must react to the world around them. They see obstacles and limitations as external forces that control their fate. But this is an illusion. The truth is that your thoughts, your inner vision, and your assumptions about life create the very conditions you experience. When you shift your perspective and recognize that you are the creator, not the victim, you unlock the ability to shape your reality according to your desires. The power of imagination is not limited to idle wishful thinking. It is a force that actively brings about change. When you vividly imagine something with deep feeling and conviction, you impress it upon your subconscious mind, and the world must respond in kind. Your subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It accepts whatever you impress upon it as truth. This is why those who constantly dwell on problems and fears often find themselves trapped in cycles of struggle, while those who focus on abundance and possibility seem to attract endless opportunities. If you wish to change your life, you must first change the images you hold in your mind. Instead of focusing on lack, focus on abundance. Instead of dwelling on failure, see yourself succeeding. Instead of imagining obstacles, visualize open doors. What you assume to be true in your imagination will inevitably find its way into your reality. This is not mere philosophy, it is an immutable law of existence. The challenge for many is that they have spent years, even decades, allowing their imagination to be shaped by external forces. From childhood, we are conditioned to believe in limitations. We are told what is possible and what is not. We are given rules, expectations, and boundaries that confine our thinking. But these limitations exist only because we have accepted them. The moment you dare to reject the imposed constraints and embrace the infinite power of your imagination, you will see the world shift in ways you never thought possible. Imagination is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, between what is and what can be. When you engage in deep, vivid imagining, you step into the reality of your desires before they have physically manifested. This is why the most successful individuals do not wait for proof before believing in their vision. They know that belief precedes reality, that the world will conform to the image they hold with unwavering conviction. To truly harness the power of imagination, you must not only see your desires, but feel them as if they are already real. Emotion is the catalyst that brings imagined realities into tangible form. It is not enough to merely visualize a better future. You must immerse yourself in the experience. Feel the excitement, the joy, the certainty that it is already yours. When your imagination and emotions align, the world has no choice but to reflect your inner state. Doubt is the greatest enemy of creation. The moment you allow skepticism to creep in, you disrupt the process of manifestation. Many people sabotage their dreams because they oscillate between belief and disbelief. They imagine success one moment, then entertain thoughts of failure the next. This wavering mind produces mixed results because the subconscious responds to dominant impressions. If you wish to see your dreams come to life, you must remain steadfast in your assumption regardless of what external circumstances may suggest. The external world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting your inner world. If you find yourself experiencing hardships, do not seek to change the mirror, change the image being projected. Too often people attempt to force change through external effort alone, but without an internal shift, such efforts are futile. The key to lasting transformation is to first become, in consciousness, the person you wish to be. Once you embody that state internally, the external world will rearrange itself accordingly. Some may argue that imagination is mere fantasy, that reality is rigid and unchangeable, but those who have truly understood the power of consciousness know otherwise. The greatest minds in history, visionaries, inventors, artists, and leaders, have all understood that imagination is the seed of all creation. They did not wait for the world to change before believing in their ideas. They believed first and the world followed. Your imagination is the gateway to infinite possibilities. You are not confined by circumstances, by history, or by the limitations others have placed upon you. You are only confined by the limits of your own mind. If you can dream it, and if you can persist in that dream with absolute faith, it will materialize. The only requirement is that you refuse to entertain doubt, that you see yourself already possessing that which you desire, and that you allow no external condition to shake your conviction. This is not wishful thinking. It is a law as precise as gravity. It operates regardless of whether you acknowledge it or not. The question is not whether imagination shapes reality, but whether you are using it consciously or unconsciously. Most people use their imagination destructively, envisioning worst-case scenarios, dwelling on fears, and reinforcing beliefs of lack. But you have the choice to use this power constructively, to create a life of joy, abundance, and fulfillment. Each day you are presented with the choice to react to the world as it is or to create the world as you desire it to be. The choice may seem simple, but it requires discipline. It requires a steadfast commitment to living in the assumption of your highest vision, even when circumstances appear to contradict it. But if you persist, the world will eventually align with your assumption. Greatness is not reserved for the few. It is available to all who dare to claim it. The only difference between those who achieve extraordinary success and those who do not is the willingness to imagine boldly and persist unwaveringly. The dreamers of the world, those who see beyond what is currently visible, are the ones who shape the future. They do not allow the present to dictate their vision. They dictate the future through their vision. Let this be a reminder that you hold the power. You're not at the mercy of fate, of circumstances, or of the limitations imposed by society. The only thing standing between you and the life you desire is your own ability to see it, believe it, and remain faithful to that vision. Once you grasp this truth, once you truly internalize that your imagination creates your reality, you will never see the world the same way again. The life you dream of is already yours. It exists the moment you claim it in consciousness. Walk boldly in the assumption of its reality and watch as the world bends to match your vision. To live in the feeling of your wish fulfilled is to embrace the reality of your desire before it has physically manifested. It is to assume with absolute certainty that what you long for is already yours. This is not about hoping, wishing, or waiting for something to happen. It is about knowing that it has already happened in the unseen realm and allowing that conviction to shape your experience. Most people live their lives reacting to the world around them, believing that circumstances must change before they can feel differently. They wait for success before they feel successful, wait for love before they feel love, and wait for wealth before they feel abundant. But this approach is backward. The truth is that your emotions dictate your reality, not the other way around. If you wish to bring something into your life, you must first feel the presence of it within. You must assume the state of being that matches your desire. Your mind is a powerful instrument, and it responds to the emotional states you cultivate. If you constantly dwell in the feeling of lack, fear, or doubt, the world will reflect those emotions back to you. But if you immerse yourself in the feeling of already having what you desire, your outer world will begin to shift to match that internal state. The key is not to wait for physical proof, but to generate the proof truth within. When you do this, you send out an undeniable signal that reshapes the events, circumstances, and people in your life. To truly live in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you must go beyond mere visualization. Seeing an image in your mind is not enough. You must step into that image emotionally. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the excitement of having your desire now. Walk, talk, and think as the person who already possesses it. When you do this consistently, your subconscious mind accepts this new state as reality, and the world conforms accordingly. The greatest obstacle to this practice is doubt. Many people attempt to feel their wish fulfilled, but they allow their senses to dictate their beliefs. If they do not see immediate evidence, they begin to question, to waver, to return to their old assumptions of lack. But true mastery lies in persistence, regardless of what the physical world appears to suggest. The external world is simply a delayed reflection of past thoughts and emotion. If you remain steadfast in your assumption, reality must eventually catch up. Think of it as planting a seed. When you plant a seed in the soil, you do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. You trust that the process is underway. You water it, nurture it, and assume that in due time it will sprout. The same principle applies to your desires. The moment you assume them to be real in your consciousness, they have been planted. Your job is to continue living in the feeling of their fulfillment, knowing with certainty that they will materialize. Many people struggle with this concept because they believe that feeling something before it happens is a form of delusion. But in truth, this is how all creation works. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every success story began with someone who dared to assume its reality before the world confirmed it. The visionaries, the pioneers, the great leaders of history all lived in the feeling of their wish fulfilled long before anyone else believed in their dream. They did not wait for external validation. They created their own certainty. Your imagination is your greatest tool in this process. If you struggle to feel the reality of your desire, immerse yourself in mental scenes that evoke the emotions you seek. If you desire wealth, imagine yourself already enjoying the lifestyle it provides. Feel the confidence, the security, the freedom that comes with it. If you desire love, see yourself already cherished, already experiencing deep connection. Feel the warmth, the joy, the fulfillment of that love now. The more vividly you engage your senses in these imaginal acts, the more real they become to your subconscious mind, and the faster they manifest in the physical world. It is also essential to embody the behaviors and attitudes of someone who has already attained their desire. If you wish to be successful, carry yourself with the confidence of success now. Speak as if you have already achieved your goal. Make decisions from the mindset of someone who has already arrived. This alignment between your thoughts, emotions, and actions creates an unshakable vibration that attracts your desires effortlessly. One of the most powerful aspects of living in the feeling of your wish fulfilled is that it removes the struggle and desperation that often accompany unfulfilled desires. When you feel that something is lacking, you reinforce that lack. When you chase after something with a sense of urgency or need, you push it further away. But when you rest in the certainty that it is already yours, you create a state of ease, allowing the manifestation to unfold naturally. This is not about forcing yourself to feel something artificially. It is about shifting your inner state to one of natural acceptance. It may take practice at first, especially if you are accustomed to reacting to external conditions. But the more you train your mind to dwell in the state of fulfillment, the more natural it becomes. Over time, your dominant emotions will shift, and you will find yourself effortlessly attracting the very things you once struggled to attain. The physical world is a mirror of your inner state. If you live in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the world will rearrange itself to match that assumption. You do not need to worry about the how or the when. Your only job is to maintain the feeling of already having it. The rest will take care of itself. This is not magic. It is an unchanging law of consciousness. When you internalize this truth and begin to live from the end result, you will see undeniable proof in your own life. You will understand that you were never at the mercy of circumstances. You were always the creator. Your reality is simply a reflection of what you choose to assume and feel as true. The life you desire is not something you must chase. It is something you must embody. Assume it now, feel it deeply, and watch as the world bends to your imagination. Detachment from external noise is the art of remaining centered, unaffected, and unshaken by the chaos of the outside world. It is a practice of tuning out the distractions, the opinions, and the limitations imposed by society, choosing instead to align with the truth within. The world is filled with voices, some loud, some subtle, all trying to dictate what is possible, what is realistic, and what you should or should not do. But to live a truly fulfilled and self-directed life, you must learn to filter out what does not serve you and focus on what does. Most people live in a constant state of reaction. They absorb the energy of their environment, allowing the news, social media, and the opinions of others to shape their emotions, their beliefs, and ultimately their decisions. They are swayed by criticism, discouraged by setbacks, and distracted by the noise of everyday life. This makes them inconsistent in their vision, easily influenced by doubt and fear, and unable to maintain a clear path toward their desire. But when you develop detachment from external noise, you take control of your own mind, your own state of being, and your own reality. True detachment does not mean withdrawing from life or becoming indifferent to everything around you. It means refusing to let the outside world dictate your inner state. It is about being present, aware, and conscious, yet completely immune to negativity, distractions, and limiting influences. You become the observer rather than the reactor. You choose what deserves your attention and what does not. The moment you set a goal, a vision, or an intention, external noise will inevitably arise. You will hear opinions that tell you it is impossible, impractical, or unrealistic. You may encounter temporary obstacles that seem to confirm those doubts, but these external factors hold no real power unless you give them power. The key to detachment is recognizing that the only truth that matters is the one you accept as your own. The people who achieve greatness are those who have mastered this detachment. They do not seek validation from others. They do not allow temporary conditions to determine their belief in themselves. They move forward with unwavering faith in their vision, knowing that the world will eventually reflect their inner conviction. They understand that external noise is nothing more than a test of their ability to remain firm in their assumption. One of the most effective ways to cultivate detachment is to develop a strong internal dialogue. Instead of letting external voices shape your reality, you must take control of your own thoughts and words. Speak to yourself as if your desires are already yours. Affirm your vision daily. Whenever doubt arises, silence it with certainty. When the world tries to convince you otherwise, remind yourself that you are the creator of your reality. Another powerful practice is to limit your exposure to unnecessary noise. Not all information is useful, and not all voices deserve to be heard. Social media, news outlets, and conversations filled with negativity can cloud your vision and weaken your belief in what is possible. Be selective about what you consume. Surround yourself with uplifting, empowering, and inspiring influences. If something does not contribute to your growth, success, or peace, it has no place in your mind. Detachment also requires mastering your emotional responses. When something challenges your belief, do not react with frustration or fear. Instead, remain neutral, knowing that circumstances can shift at any moment. What appears to be an obstacle today may be an opportunity tomorrow. Your external reality is fluid, constantly responding to your internal state. If you remain steadfast in your assumption of success, success must come. People often confuse detachment with passivity, but they are not the same. Detachment is not about doing nothing. It is about moving forward with calm assurance, knowing that the outcome is inevitable. It is about taking inspired action without desperation, making decisions without fear, and trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. When you operate from this state, you become magnetic to your desires because you are no longer chasing them, you are allowing them. The greatest breakthroughs happen when you stop looking to the outside world for confirmation and start generating that confirmation from within. When you no longer need approval, validation, or proof, you become unstoppable. You realize that the noise around you is irrelevant because your inner reality is the only reality that matters. What you assume is true within will become true without. This level of detachment gives you freedom. Freedom from fear, from doubt, from the opinions of others, and from the need to control everything. It allows you to move through life with ease, confidence, and certainty. It removes the burden of worrying about when, how, or if something will happen. You no longer waste energy trying to force things. Instead, you align with them effortlessly. Detachment is the key to mastering your mind, your emotions. The less you are affected by external noise, the more you can focus on what truly matters: your vision, your purpose, and your own inner truth. Everything else is just background sound. When you stop giving it your attention, it fades into irrelevance, leaving you with the clarity and peace to create the life you desire. Persisting in the assumption of success is the foundation of all great achievements. It is the unwavering belief that your desires are already yours, regardless of what the external world currently reflects. It is a state of mind where doubt, fear, and obstacles lose their power because your conviction is stronger than any temporary circumstance. To persist means to remain fixed in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to act, think, and live as though success is inevitable, and to refuse to entertain any thoughts to the contrary. Most people allow the outside world to dictate their beliefs. They look at their current conditions and decide what is possible based on what they see. But the truth is, reality is always shifting, always rearranging itself to match the dominant assumptions held within the mind. If you assume success unwaveringly, the world must conform to that assumption. The key is to persist, to hold firm in your conviction, even when the evidence has not yet appeared. The mistake many make is assuming success for a short while, only to abandon that assumption when challenges arise. They may visualize their desires, affirm their goals, and feel inspired, but when external circumstances show no immediate change, they begin to doubt. They let uncertainty creep in, questioning whether they are on the right path, whether they are doing enough, or whether their desires are even possible. This wavering state weakens the power of assumption, causing a cycle of progress and regression, where success seems just out of reach. To truly persist in the assumption of success, one must develop a deep inner knowing that does not depend on external validation. You must act as if what you want is already yours, moving through life with the confidence that everything is unfolding in perfect order. This is not about wishful thinking. It is about embodying the state of success so completely that it becomes your natural way of being. When you do this, success becomes inevitable. The world may test you. There may be moments when things appear to move in the opposite direction of your desire. This is where most people falter, allowing temporary setbacks to shake their faith. But the truth is, setbacks are often just illusions, shifts in the unseen that are rearranging circumstances for your highest good. What looks like a delay is often just a necessary step toward a greater realization of your goal. Those who persist understand this. They do not react emotionally to temporary conditions because they know conditions are subject to change. Persistence requires discipline of thought. It means refusing to indulge in doubt, worry, or frustration. It means correcting yourself the moment you notice old patterns of disbelief creeping in. If you find yourself questioning your success, immediately replace that thought with certainty. If the external world presents a challenge, remind yourself that it is only a test of your persistence. Do not let circumstances dictate your belief. Let your belief dictate circumstances. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce persistence is to live in the feeling of success every single day. This means not waiting for external validation to feel accomplished, but choosing to feel accomplished now. Walk, talk, and think as the successful version of yourself. Carry yourself with the confidence of someone who already has everything they desire. When you assume this identity fully, reality has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Another essential aspect of persistence is refusing to entertain opposing narratives. There will always be people who doubt you, circumstances that challenge you, and moments where things seem uncertain. But these do not define you unless you allow them to. The only thing that matters is what you assume to be true. If you assume success and refuse to waver, it must materialize. This level of persistence is what separates those who succeed from those who give up too soon. Many people have great ideas, bold dreams, and powerful intentions, but they lack the persistence to see them through. They allow setbacks to convince them that their desires are unattainable, not realizing that persistence would have led them to victory. The greatest inventors, artists, entrepreneurs, and visionaries all share this quality of persistence. They hold firm in their assumptions even when the world tells them otherwise. They are not swayed by temporary failures, nor are they discouraged by slow progress. They know that as long as they continue to assume their success, it is only a matter of time before the world catches up. Persisting in the assumption of success is not just about achieving external goals. It is about mastering your mind. It is about becoming the kind of person who is immune to doubt, unaffected by setbacks, and unwavering in belief. It is about choosing your reality rather than being a passive observer of it. When you persist in the assumption of success, everything begins to shift in your favor. Opportunities arise, ideas flow, and synchronicities appear. The world starts to bend to your will because you are no longer waiting for proof. You are living as though success is already guaranteed. This is the ultimate secret. You do not need to chase success, fight for it, or struggle to make it happen. You only need to persist in the assumption that it is already yours. Hold this belief with unwavering certainty, and the world will reshape itself to match your conviction. The law of consciousness is the foundation upon which all manifestations arise. It governs reality in ways that most people fail to recognize, yet it is always at work, shaping experiences, circumstances, and outcomes in alignment with the state of mind that dominates within. within. Consciousness is not merely awareness. It is the creative force behind everything that exists. Every event, every encounter, and every success or failure is a direct reflection of the consciousness that gave birth to it. To understand and apply this law is to take control of life itself, for whatever is held persistently in consciousness must externalize itself in the world of form. Most people go through life unaware of this fundamental truth, believing that external conditions dictate their inner world. They assume that their thoughts and emotions are reactions to what happens to them, never realizing that the external world is only a mirror reflecting the inner state. If one lives in a consciousness of lack, struggle, or limitation, life will inevitably present experiences that affirm those conditions. If one dwells in the consciousness of abundance, joy, and success, the world will shape itself accordingly. This is not mere philosophy. It is an unbreakable law, operating with precision whether one acknowledges it or not. The great mistake humanity makes is believing in separation between the inner and outer worlds. People seek change outside of themselves, attempting to manipulate conditions, circumstances, and even other people without first altering the state of consciousness that produced those conditions. But true transformation never begins externally. The outer world is merely an effect, and consciousness is the cause. To shift the effect, one must first alter the cause. A person who changes nothing within but expects different results in life is like a gardener who plants weeds but expects roses to grow. The soil will yield only what has been sown in it, just as life will yield only what has been cultivated in consciousness. Consciousness is always in motion, constantly projecting itself into the world and shaping events in accordance with its dominant state. If one holds thoughts of fear, doubt, and worry, life will supply an abundance of experiences to reinforce those emotions. But if one deliberately assumes the consciousness of peace, confidence, and success, the world must align accordingly. This is not about wishful thinking or hoping for things to change. It is about assuming a state of being so fully that it becomes reality. Every great achievement, every work of art, and every extraordinary success was first conceived in consciousness before it became visible. Most people allow their consciousness to be dictated by external events, reacting to circumstances rather than deliberately choosing their state of mind. But true mastery lies in remaining unmoved by the transient conditions of the world, knowing that reality is fluid and always subject to change. The wise do not allow setbacks to define them, nor do they accept present limitations as permanent. They understand that by persistently dwelling in the consciousness of their desires fulfilled, they mold the future to match their inner conviction. The law of consciousness does not discriminate. It does not reward effort or struggle, nor does it punish failure or missteps. It simply reflects back whatever is assumed to be true. This is why those who expect misfortune often find it, while those who assume success seem to move through life effortlessly. It is not luck, nor is it coincidence. It is the exact science of consciousness manifesting in the form. The world is not something separate from the individual. It is an extension of one's mind, shaped moment by what is most consistently believed and felt to be real. Understanding this law brings immense power, but with that power comes responsibility. Once it is realized that consciousness creates reality, there is no one left to blame for circumstances, no excuses to make, and no external force to wait upon for change. Every condition of life is self-created, whether deliberately or unconsciously. The question is not whether this law is working, but whether it is being used consciously or left to operate on default, reinforcing old patterns and beliefs that do not serve one's highest good. To master this law, one must become deeply aware of where consciousness resides at any given moment. Is it rooted in fear, doubt, and hesitation, or is it anchored in faith, confidence, and expectation of success? The shift need not be dramatic. Even the smallest change in consciousness begins to alter reality. A person who decides to embody the feeling of gratitude instead of lack, of confidence instead of uncertainty, will soon notice reality rearranging itself to match that inner shift. It is not a matter of forcing external change, but of becoming internally aligned with the desired outcome so completely that the world has no choice but to reflect it. This law is absolute. It does not require belief to function, just as gravity does not require belief to hold one to the ground. But those who recognize it and consciously apply it become the architects of their destiny. They do not wait for circumstances to change before feeling secure. They feel secure first, and circumstances follow. They do not hope for opportunities to arise before feeling successful. They embody success within, and opportunities appear effortlessly. They do not wait for love before feeling whole. They cultivate the consciousness of love, and it manifests in every aspect of life. To persist in a chosen state of consciousness, regardless of external appearances, is the ultimate act of faith. It requires discipline, for the world may tempt one to react, to doubt, to waver, but those who remain steadfast in their assumption, knowing that reality must conform, will witness extraordinary transformations. The journey is not one of struggle, but of effortless alignment. It is not about fighting against what is, but about choosing what shall be and dwelling in that state with unwavering conviction. Everything begins in consciousness. The thoughts entertained, the emotions nurtured, and the assumptions held all weave together to form the fabric of experience. To change one's life, one must change one's consciousness. This is the only work that truly matters, for once consciousness is shifted, reality must follow. It is not about hoping for change, it is about becoming the change internally first. The law of consciousness is the great secret behind all success, all happiness, and all fulfillment. Those who master it understand that they are never victims of circumstance, but creators of reality. They do not wait for proof before believing. They believe first, and proof follows. This is the way of all great visionaries, all pioneers, all those who shape history rather than being shaped by it. They do not ask if something is possible. They assume it is and persist until it becomes inevitable. Life is a mirror, reflecting back what is held within. The greatest realization one can have is that nothing is set in stone, nothing is beyond change, and nothing is impossible when consciousness is deliberately directed. Every person is the master of their fate, not because of external effort, but because of the infinite power of consciousness itself. The moment one fully embraces this truth, life transforms in ways previously unimaginable, revealing a world shaped by the boundless potential of the mind. The law of consciousness is the key to transforming life in its entirety. It is the silent force that shapes every experience, molding reality to reflect the dominant state of mind. Those who understand this truth no longer feel powerless against circumstances, nor do they wait for external change before shifting internally. They recognize that reality is not something to be battled or controlled. It is something to be assumed and allowed to unfold. To master this law is to take full responsibility for one's life. It means no longer blaming conditions, other people, or fate, but recognizing that every experience is self-created, whether deliberately or unconsciously. True power lies not in struggle, but in alignment, not in reacting to the world, but in consciously choosing the state of being from which all things emerge. Everything begins in consciousness. The thoughts one nurtures, the beliefs one holds, and the emotions one entertains all form the blueprint of reality. The world is not separate from the individual. It is an extension of consciousness, reflecting back what is most consistently assumed. To change life, one must first change within. When this truth is fully embraced, limitations dissolve, opportunities arise effortlessly, and life begins to reflect the highest vision one holds. There is no force working against the individual, only the reflection of their inner state. In the moment one decides to assume the consciousness of success, fulfillment, and joy, the world must follow. This is the ultimate power of consciousness, the truth that sets one free.